Pahlavi text translated by E.W. West, Part 3, Dinai Mainogi Khirad, Clareton, Oxford University Press, 1885. Chapter 62. The sage asked the spirit of wisdom thus, "In what place stands Kangdes? Where is the enclosure formed by Yim constructed? In what place lies the body of Saham? Where is the abode of Srosh? In what place stands the three-legged donkey? Where is the homegrown, the preparer of the dead, with which they restore the dead and produce the future existence? In which place is Go Paitosha? With what work is the carfish entrusted? Where has the griffin bird a nest? A Sion? In what place sits Kinamros? And what is his work? The spirit of wisdom answered thus, Kangdes is entrusted with the eastern quarter, near to Satabayas, on the frontier of Airanbego. The enclosure formed by Yim is constructed in Airanbego, below the earth, and every species and seed of all the creatures and creations of Auharmazd, the Lord, whatever is better and more select of man and beast, of burden, of cattle and flying creatures, is brought thither. And every 40 years one child is born from one woman and one man, who are of that place. Their life, too, is 300 years, and their pain and disturbance are little. The body of Saham is in the plain of Pasandas, near to Mount Dimavand. And on that plain, except grain and the eatable things, they sow and reap and live upon. There is not so much as a single other tree or shrub or plant, and its golden color is mostly wormwood. And the angels and archangels have appointed 99,999 guardian spirits of the righteous as a protection for the body of Saham, so that the demons and fiends may not injure it. The abode of Srosh is mostly in Arza, and afterwards also in Sava, and the whole world. The three-legged donkey sits amid the sea, Prakash, and as to water of every kind that rains on dead matter, the menstrual discharge, and other bodily refuse, when it arrives at the three-legged donkey, he makes every kind clean and purified with watchfulness. The home, which is the preparer of the dead, is grown in the sea Prakash, in that which is the deepest place. And 99,999 guardian spirits of the righteous are appointed as its protection. The carfish, too, ever circles around it, and always keeps the frog and other noxious creatures away from it. Gopa Itosha is in Airanbego, within the region of Kvaniras. From foot to mid-body he is an ox, and from mid-body to the top he is a man. And at all times he sits on the seashore, and always performs the ceremonial of the sacred beings, and pours holy water into the sea, on account of which, through the pouring of that holy water, innumerable noxious creatures in the sea will die, because if he does not specially perform that celebration of the ceremonial, and does not pour that holy water into the sea, where those innumerable noxious creatures shall utterly perish, then, whenever the rain shall rain, the noxious creatures have to rain just like rain. The nest of the griffin bird is on the tree, opposed to harm, and many-seated. Whenever he rises aloft, 1,000 twigs will shoot out from that tree, and when he alights, he breaks off the 1,000 twigs and bites the seed from them, And the bird, Kinamros, alights likewise in that vicinity. And his work is this, that he collects those seeds which are bitten from the tree of many seeds, which is opposed to harm, and he scatters Pargunded them there, where Tistar seizes the water, so that while Tistar shall seize the water together with those seeds of all kinds, he shall rain them on the world with the rain. Verse 42, he shall rain them on the world with the rain. Originally, the archangel Amerodad, see chapter 234, is said to have mingled the plants with the rain, see Bundahis 9.2, but afterwards this was done by the mythic bird, see Bundahis 27.3. This legend was evidently intended to account for the rapid appearance of wild plants after rain in dry climates, where all traces of vegetation often disappear during the summer droughts. And sometimes these things that seem contradictory actually refer to different aspects of the thing, but yeah, as the whole thing is a mythologization of what they thought was the facts of existence. And he scatters Pargunded them there where Tistar. The angel who personifies the star, Tistar, Sirius, see chapter 49, 5 and 6, after a conflict with the demons of drought and thunder, see Bundahis 7, 1-13, pours down rain from the cloud, in which he had brought the water from the sea. Verse 40, and the bird, Kinamros, the chief of mythic birds, next to the Seno Maruv, he is said to defend Iran from invasion by occasionally picking up born districts like grains of corn. See Bundahis 29:15 and 24:29. A lot of these things we might understand once it happens, right? 37, the many-seeded. L19 has of all seeds. This tree, from which all wild plants are supposed to spring, is said to grow in the sea near the Gokarn tree, and also in Iranvago, see Bundahis 9, verses 5 and 6, 18 verse 9, 27 verse 2, 29 verse 5. And the nest of the griffin bird, the Seno Maruv, the Avestan Saeno Mavrego, or Simurg, a mythic flying creature said to suckle its young and to be of three natures, like the bat, see Bundahis 14, 11, and 24, 19, 18. And verse 36, noxious creatures shall utterly perish. L19 has, and those innumerable noxious creatures do not utterly perish. And L19 omits the four words on account of which, in verse 35. Verse 31, Kvaniras, see chapter 27:40, Go Paitosha, see chapter 44, verse 35. The carfish, 10 such fish, makes you think of the tree of life and some other myths like that, right? Of enormous size and intense watchfulness are said to be employed to protect the Gokarn from a lizard or frog sent by Paharman to injure it. See Bundahis 18, verse 2 to 6. Those who watch over the sea, Uru Kasha, see Farvardinyast. So the 99,999 guardian spirits. Verse 28, the home. The white home are Gokarn, the tree of immortality, see Bundahis 18:1, 28:4, It is the preparer of the dead because the elixir of immortality is expected to be prepared from it at the resurrection. See Bundahis 30, verse 25. One of the things is that a lot of religions talk about some lot tree or Bodhi tree or something of the upper boundary or whatever. Verse 27, and other bodily refuse. L19 adds and pollution. Verse 26, the three-legged donkey, a prodigious monster of benevolent character, described in Bundahis 29, verse 1 to 12. Possibly some local divinity. Well, people worshipped all sorts of the angels and creatures of the spiritual realms and stuff like this. Sits, L19 has stands, and is also slated in Yasna 41, verse 28. See chapter 44, verse 15, amid the sea or Cash. Verse 25, the abode of Srosh, see chapter 215, is mostly in Arzah. The western region, as Sava, is the eastern one. Verse 23, the body of Saham, as stated in Fraverdinyast 61. Wormwood, verse 22. Reading Hano Dru'ae, L19 has Han, Murd, another myrtle bush. Wormwood with yellow blossoms. Okay, the yellow blossoms. Verse 21 is to talk about the other tree or shrub being myrtle bush, Hano Dru'ae. And Dimavand, verse 20. The highest peak of the modern Alburz, in which Dahak is said to be confined, see Bundahis 12:31. Some people say there's something confined in an island. And also in verse 20, the body of Sahim, see chapter 27:49, is in the plain of Pasandas. L19 has Pust, Gustaspa, the ridge of Vistasp, which appears from the Bundahis 12, 18, and 34, 17:8 to have been somewhere in the central district of Persia. See Bundahis 29, 7 to 9, and 11. We are told that Sam lies asleep in the plain of Pesyansai, evidently the Pasandas of our text, in Kavulistan, till he is waked hereafter to slay the hawk who escapes from Mount Dimavand. This legend may have led to the perplexing juxtaposition of Pasandas and Dimavand in our text, and the perplexity occasioned by this may have led Naryosang to substitute Pusti Vistaspan for the former name as being nearer Damavand. Verse 19, and their pain and disturbance are little. The characteristic mentioned in verse 17 to 19 are ascribed to the whole of Airan Bago in chapter 44, 25, 27, 32. Verse 18 is 300 years. The Pahlavi Vendidad 2, 136 has 150 years. Every 40 years, one child born from one woman and one man who are of that place. The characteristics, see Vendidad 2, 106 to 113. Perhaps we should understand from each woman and each man that is a couple children from each couple, which would agree with Vendidad 2, 134. We could also look at these, maintainers of the sacred place, and if they're killed, then the other person becomes, the maintainer of the sacred place. Those sort of myths, that you find them out in the wilderness, and, or sometimes there's not killing involved, but, someone takes over, sometimes unwittingly. Flying creatures brought thither. See Vendidad 2, 106, 113. Skip over, that was verse 16, verse 15. The enclosure formed by Yim. See chapter 27, 27 to 31. Below the earth. So stated in Bundhist 32, verse 5, and probably meaning that its position could no longer be discovered on earth. Well, there's a lot of Middle Earth myths. See Bundhist 29, 14 states that it is in the middle of Pars, below Mount Yimakon. Well, there's a lot of underground tunnels, both natural and otherwise. On the frontier of Iranbago, see chapter 44, verse 17 to 23. And verse 13, near to Satav, yes, the Avestan Sata Esa, the western leader of the stars and special opponent of the planet Anahid, Venus, which may perhaps be identified with Antares, even to his 2751, though Geiger, Ostikul, page 313, thinks Vega more probable. It also protects the southern seas, and its name is applied to the Gulf of Oman in that direction. See Bundhist 13, 9 to 13, Zatsparam 6, 16, 18, but its connection with the east is implied in our text and requires explanation and throws some doubt upon the reading. And the enclosure formed by Yim constructed, L19 omits constructed in verse 3, in which place lies. L19 has remains, in which, verse 8, in which place is. L19 has remains. L19 has a resting place, in verse 10, a nest, Asian, and thus Kongdes, see chapter 27, verses 58 and 62.